Okay, everybody, it says I'm live again. Um, I hope that, I don't know how that works. I don't know if it boots you out and you have to come back in or how that works. That was just really weird. All of a sudden, my screen just gave up on us. So I'm not quite sure what happened there. Um, I'm kind of stalling right now because I just want to give everybody a chance to get back in. Um, let's see. Plus, I want to make sure everybody's here before I get going. Oh, my internet stinks. Um, that could be part of the problem right now. Let's see. On my phone, I've got a signal, but on my computer, it's telling me I don't. So, okay. So it looks like Susan's watching now. So it looks like maybe Susan's back in. And Elaine is back in. Hey, welcome, Elaine. Thanks for joining us. But I can't seem to get it up on my big computer. So I'm going to try this again. Can you guys hear me okay? Am I live for you guys? Give me a wave or tell me if you can hear me. I think maybe you can because it looks like I've got it up on my screen, my big screen now. Only now it's crooked. That's very bizarre. Oh, I hope it's not going to make me switch. I'm going to have to go. I don't like doing it in portrait because it just really narrows the field of how much space we have. But you know what? We do what we've got to do. Okay, so Susan can hear me. Hey, Marcia, welcome. You won this week's drawing. I don't know if you were on when I did the drawing, but you won and I have your address. So I will get your prize in the mail to you. So I'm going to go ahead and get going again here. I have the band, the belly band for our card that we're making. And I've pushed down the strips. I'm just now pulling off the release paper. Oh, and what I wanted to do is I did want to trim this just after where I put my tape so that it wasn't quite as long. Okay, there we go. Now we'll make sure I'm lining these up right. Kind of lost my groove there. Okay. Oh, I might have made that a little too tight, so let's loosen that up. If it's too tight, it doesn't slide off the card very well. Hey, Tracy's back. Okay, let's see. Everybody's coming back in. All I've done so far is I trimmed down my belly band and I'm just closing up the belly band. So there we go. Kind of got me out of my groove there with my internet dumping us, but we'll get back in a groove. We're survivors, right? Okay, so I've got my belly band there, just like so. Let's go ahead and set this out of the way while we do the rest. Okay, so now I just have a basic white scrap paper, no particular size, just a scrap. So I'm going to take this flower, and then I'm also going to take this flower, and I'm going to use my Memento Tuxedo Black to stamp these. So ink up my stamp. Nell's back, it looks like. Everyone's finding their way back to me. Yay! Okay. Oops. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of ink there. So let's Mary's back. Good. Okay. Oh, that piece might not be big enough. Let me grab a different scrap here. Okay, well, just grab a whole new piece. I thought that piece would be big enough, but apparently it was not. Okay, so now I'm going to stamp this on here. Clean my stamp up. Remember, the stamps like this that are really detailed sometimes require just a little bit extra TLC when it comes to cleaning them off, just because they have all those little details. So I just take my chamois, rather than, usually, you know, I just scrape the stamp on the chamois and that's sufficient. But sometimes with these, with all these little tiny details, you just need to go over it, kind of like what I'm doing right here. Okay, that's good. Hey, Lucy. Okay, and then I'm going to do this one as well. Put away my ink pad. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and just trim this down because I know I'm going to need to trim it down anyway to go through the embossing machine. So we might as well just cut it down now. Okay. Now for this, to color it in, what I used were my watercolor pencils. I love the watercolor pencils because they're just so easy to work with. They give you some really nice, vibrant color. But like I said, they're easy to work with. So what I'm trying to find right now is my Melon Mambo pencil. There we go. There's Melon Mambo. And then I've got a little bit of the Daffodil Delight. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and use Granny Apple Green. There we go. Move these aside. And basically what I did to color these is this center part, I colored it a little bit harder just because I wanted it a little bit darker. Same on the center of this one. And then I just went through and just kind of scribbled on these areas where, you know, you can see where Stampin' Up! Has intended there to be some shadow or some movement. And I just kind of went over that. And right now it looks pretty bad. It's like, oh my goodness, Heather, you're not an artist. But wait, it gets better. It gets better. I'm just going through. This does take a little bit of time. It's not quite as quick as if you were just scribbling through the whole thing, but it's not terrible. Not terrible. Okay. It's like a Dalmatian. My Dalmatian flower. Okay, get this area here. Get this one. I'm doing the same thing on this one. And this one has some edges where the edge of the flower is folded over. So I made sure to get it dark in those edge areas that are those little folded over parts. And then, well, I was going to tell you what I'm going to do next, but I still have a little bit more that I have to color before we do that. So I'm going to hold off on telling you what I'm doing next. There we go. So I've got the flower part done. Now I've got this little spray right here. And it's kind of funny, these little sprays like this, I don't know what this is. Maybe it's baby's breath, which really should be green. But it reminds me of a flower that grows out by my parents' house, and I can't for the life of me think what it's called. Not a flower, but it's like a weed, and it's actually poisonous. And it's very, oh, what's the word I'm trying to think of? It like kind of takes over. Leafy spurge is what it's called, leafy spurge. And it kind of takes over. And so in addition to being poisonous, it's like trying to get everywhere. So every year you have to like spray for it and do all this real pain in the behind stuff. Okay, my computer is telling me it wants me to do an update right now. I don't think I'm going to do it right now. Okay, so now I'm taking my Granny Apple Green to do the leaves, and I'm just kind of coloring on the lines of the veins of the leaf. And that is one thing about when I use my watercolor pencils, I don't typically color in the whole image because it's so soft. The pencil stuff, it's not lead, I don't know what it is so soft and it spreads so easily, especially once it gets wet, that you really only have to do parts like what I'm doing. And then when you get it wet, it kind of pushes that color around. So, so you don't have to color the whole thing. Okay. Okay, now, are you guys ready for this? I found my, what I originally did, a few weeks ago, I showed you guys that you can use your color lifter, your Stampin' Blend color lifter, to move that color around, and it works really, really well. But this time when I was making this card, I found kind of by accident that Wink of Stella does the same thing. So I had wanted to add some Wink of Stella, and I had already gone over it with my color lifter, but I noticed that when I was putting the Wink of Stella on, it was moving the color around more. So I thought, you know what, we're going to give it a whirl and try it with just the Wink of Stella. So I still got a little bit of green on there, so I'm going to just do my leaves first. Yeah, see, look at that. See how it's moving the color around really nicely? And it's going to make it all sparkly because we like sparkles, right? Okay. And the nice thing is, where I colored those lines, I've still got a little bit of dark because I haven't pulled all the color out or smoothed out all the color. And so you still see some shading, some of those lines, but if you were here to see this in person, you'd see the sparkle from the Wink of Stella. So I'm going to get the green off of my pen here. Now let's do this yellow. I'm just going to go over it kind of quickly like this. So now my yellow is all sparkly. Get the yellow off. And now we'll do the pink. And I'm trying to be careful around the edges because, this brush tip, you don't get quite the same precision that you would with like your color lifter when you're spreading this around. And I like to try to make the centers a little bit darker, so I kind of go over them first so that I've got a little bit more concentrated color there. But then I'll go back over it and pull some of that color out. And I may have to go back over it a second time if I want that color to spread a little bit better. But the Wink of Stella works so awesome for this. And like I said, I kind of figured this out by accident. Now, it still does look kind of weird where I've got all the little splotches. Oops, let's get that little edge right there. Isn't this awesome, Judy? Judy says, great idea. Okay, so, ooh, that's so sparkly and lovely. And really, at first you look at it and you're like, well, I can still see all the little individual little splotches where I put all that color. But after a while, your eye gets used to it and it kind of just becomes shading for you. So now I'm going to do the little flower. Okay, so I got the big parts. Now I'm just going to go through and get the edges, maybe spread out the color a little more if I feel like it needs it. And if you go out of the lines a little bit, it's not a big deal. We're going to cut these with the die cut. And so that kind of takes your eye off of that happening a little bit. There we go. Maybe spread that color around just a little bit more. Hey, Teresa, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Okay. Now I want to get that extra color off because I don't want to have that color on there next time I go to use my Wink of Stella. So there we go. I've got some sparkly, pretty flowers. Let me grab my cutting machine. Okay, move some of this stuff out of the way. I do like to use the little one when I'm on these lives a little bit more, just because you can see it better. Thank you, Marsha. Marsha shared this video. That helps me out a lot when you share the video. First of all, you never know who in your feed might be interested in it. And it's a way that helps me get my name out there. So thank you very, very much. Okay, so now get my dies. I want to show you a little something. So the set of dies is kind of funny because there's a lot of dies in here that don't have a stamp that matches them. And some people don't like that about this particular set. This particular stamp has a nice big die that works with it, coordinates. So I'm going to go ahead and tape this down using my Post-it tape, like so. Maybe get it on both sides just to hold it down a little bit better. Remember, if you use Post-it tape, you can reuse those pieces several times. Those are the pieces from last week. Okay, now this flower right here, it doesn't have its own, okay, that little dark spot is bugging me. So I'm just gonna blend it in a little bit more. There we go. It does not have its own die that goes with it. However, this big one right here, this flower right here fits that. So you can go like this and see it'll cut out that single one. Now, the downside is it does cut out all these other little things on your paper too, but that's okay. All right, so now, where's my, oh, there it is. These clear pieces, I set them down and then I can't find them. Okay, so let's go ahead and feed this through. Sorry about the table shaking when I do this. If you do not have one of our cutting and embossing machines, you should really give it some thought. We have the big one and we have the little one. I have both and I love them both. The big one fits all of our dies. The little one fits most of our dies. Okay. And the little one is really great for, like if you're gonna go somewhere to stamp, maybe you're meeting friends or whatever, it's so nice and portable. I mean, the big one's portable too, it's just bigger and heavier. Okay. So now I'll take these off. Whoops. And put my dies away so I don't lose them. See, here's this one and then put it back on here. And then I've got this one as well. My little envelope that they store in. Okay. See all the little pieces that come out from where that die was. It's kind of a unique die. It's kind of cool. I should play with it and maybe do something with it to show you guys, like next week or something. Okay, so now we have our flower here, and I can see some dark spots here that just need to be, bring out the color just a little, not bring out the color, but spread the color just a little bit more. So we're going to do that. Besides, a little extra sparkle never hurt anyone, right? Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our card, and this little one that we did is going to go on the inside. Goodness gracious, I couldn't get a hold of it. And really, any adhesive is going to work well on there. I'm just grabbing this one, well, just cause. And let's see, let's put it right about there, like that. And then put our belly band back on. I always recommend when you decorate your belly band, decorate it on the card, because then you can get an idea for placement. So for example, if I put this right smack dab in the middle, look what's going to happen. It's going to cover up my message right there. So I do want to do it a little bit of an angle so that doesn't happen. So now I'm going to just put a little bit of adhesive in the middle. Well, I kind of got crazy with the glue there. Careful, Heather. There we go. Oh, now I have glue on my fingers. Gosh darn it. Okay, and then our card is just about done. Let's add a little more sparkle. And the nice thing is I'm using the Glossy Dots assortment. With this particular paper, we could use the yellow or the pink. And I think I'm going to use the yellow just to bring out a little bit more of that, that yellow that's on there. So let's see here. Pull off this one. These ones don't come off the packet quite as easy just because the adhesive that's on the back is on a lot of our little gems like this. There's a tiny little glue dot on the back, where these, it's actually a full adhesive on there, which is nice. They make them nice and sticky. There we go. There. You know what though? I think I want to maybe move this. Well, I wanted to move it down, but I really stuck it down already. So it's staying there. So anyway, there is card number 1. And there it is with the pinks and the yellows. Here it is with the purples and the blues. And again, I mean, you can't see it super well, I don't think, on the camera, but it is nice and sparkly because of our Wink of Stella. Okay, there is a little tiny gnat flying around in front of me right now, and I just want to punch it. It's driving me crazy. Thanks, Judy. Okay, so next, put that away. Next, we have our masculine card that I was so excited about. And for this, I'm using the Biggest Wish stamps. I also used the Stylish Shapes I used one of the little circles there. So let's go ahead and move some of this stuff out of the way. Let me show you the card. Here's our envelope. And then look at this. Isn't this fun? I mean, it's just nice and simple. And what I loved about this is the more I looked at it, the more I thought, you know, you could do this with all sorts of masculine colors, and it's still going to look masculine, but you could also do it with more girly colors, quote unquote, if you wanted it to be a more feminine card. So it doesn't, the layout alone doesn't preclude making it into anything you want it to be. It's really super simple. So let's go ahead and get started here. We'll do our envelope first. We've got lots of little strips here. You can see that I cut. The colors I'm using are Crumb Cake, Early Espresso, and Night of Navy. So let's start with our envelope, and I'm just taking a piece of scrap paper and covering up the envelope so that the only thing that shows is the flap, because that's the only thing I want to get ink on. And I've got my Early Espresso ink, my Night of Navy, and my Crumb Cake. We're just going to do these one at a time and stamp hello all over. And by the way, you could use any of the messages that are in this set. I love this set. It's such a great set, and it's been wildly popular because you can do thanks, happy birthday, hello, friend. I mean, you can mix them and match them. There's so much fun you can do with this. Okay, so now I'm just stamping this kind of random all over my envelope flap. And I'll use my Night of Navy, stamp a few more. And actually, I want to stamp it on this little circle that I cut using my stylish shapes. So I'm going to do that while I have my ink out. I'm just stamping it right here. Oh, I don't know if you can see. Am I off the camera since we're having to do this portrait tonight? Let's see here. Kind of try to get right in the center of the circle. There we go. And I'll set that off to the side for the moment. Okay, I'm going to put the blue away. And now, fill in a little bit of Early Espresso here. There. Now our envelope is done. And I don't often stamp sentiments on my envelope, so that was kind of fun and different. Judy says she loves the envelope. Thank you. Okay, now what we're going to do is make our card. Super duper easy. If I can find what I did with my card base, which is, I'm sure, right in front of me somewhere. Here we go. So it's just a half of a sheet of basic white cardstock, 8.5 by 5.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. Fold it out with my bone folder. Okay, move that out of the way. Okay, so now I have this little piece of basic white, and I'm going to use these strips, the ones that are a little bit bigger. Sounds like my husband is upstairs from working out. So I'm going to shut my office door so he doesn't have to listen to me. Hang on just a second. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm taking these strips, and I'm trying to think. I think these, well, let's see. Yeah, they're 3/8 of an inch wide. And so for this first one, I'm putting the glue on the back of the piece of cardstock. I'm going to use my silicone mat just because this way I don't get glue all over my paper here. And I'm just going to go ahead and put it right about middle at an angle, just like so. Now I'm going to take my glue and just put a little very fine strip of the glue Next to the Night of Navy, I'm going to lay the early espresso on both sides. Whoop. I hear Lucy barking. My husband must be getting food for himself. She barks at him because she wants him to share his food. He gets tired of her barking, so he gives her his food to shut her up. And I keep trying to tell him that's not helping, because now you are teaching her that, yes, in fact, if you bark, you'll give her your food. I hear him telling her, shh. Okay, so there. Now we've laid all these out. Now I'm just going to take my scissors and trim away the edges here. Okay. Just like that, right? So let's get rid of all these little pieces. And now we're going to go ahead and mount this onto the little sheet of Night of Navy. Just like so. And then I'm going to use some of my foam adhesive sheets. I'm going to use the big scissors to cut this. And let's see, I want it to be about a half a sheet probably. You could get away with using less. I'm just being lazy. And I'm going to put this right on the back. You know what? I'm going to cut this so I can spread it out, because I do want it to be a little closer to the edges. Like that. And like that. And now we'll stick this down on the front of the card. We didn't do the inside yet. Make sure that it's right where you want it, because remember, the foam adhesive sheets, they're very committed to sticking. So once you put them down, they do not want to move. Let's go ahead and do the inside of a card. We're going to do very similar to what we did on the outside, but I'm using these very thin strips. These are 1/8 of an inch, same colors. And we're going to do the same pattern. So I'm going to take my Night of Navy first and a tiny little bits of glue. There we go. Get my adhesive sheet again. Not a bad idea whenever you're doing an angle like this. And now I can just put the glue right here on the card. I'm assuming I'm putting glue on the card because I don't have my glasses and I can't see the card. Lining up the early espresso just right next to that Night of Navy. And then the crumb cake. Donna's joined us. Welcome, Donna. Get this piece on here. And then again, just like we did with the front piece, we're going to trim off the extra. There. So now the inside is done. Get rid of all these little pieces that we'll want to stick to everything because they'll have little tiny bits of glue on them. Isn't that kind of fun for the inside though? Okay, now let's go ahead and finish up the front. What I did here is I took a little circle that I said hello, and I took my Seal Plus. Seal Plus is great. It's a nice strong adhesive, and I just kind of put a few strips of it on the back, and I'm sort of randomly making circles like this. Hey Kathy, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Now the nice thing here is even though this seal is a very strong adhesive, when I get this done, if I look at the front and I don't like the way this baker's twine looks, I just pull it right back up. Like for example, I just did it on the wrong side. I did it at the bottom instead of the top. I forgot to check that ahead of time. So it just peels right off and you can do it over again. Let's see, there. Oh, there we go. That's not terrible. I kind of want to pull this piece down just a little bit though. There we go. Yeah, that's better. It looks like I got a little bit of ink on the edge there. I'll show you how to fix that. Just trim off this little extra bit. Now what I want to do, I'm going to use my silicone mat because the adhesive that's on there I don't want it to stick. I'm going to take my sand eraser. I don't know if you can see that little tiny bit of blue I got on the edge there. That's going to bug me. No one else will probably notice it, but it will bug me. So now I'm just going to go over it with my sand eraser. And this is not something Stampin' Up! Sells. I just bought it on Amazon for a couple bucks. And it's great for fixing little boo-boos like this. Now, if I wanted to get rid of that word hello, it would not work for that. It's just for little and light boo-boos. There. That's much better. I can sleep tonight now. Thank you, Robin. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and put a few dimensionals on the back here. Oh, what happened here? There we go. Put a few dimensionals on the back. And if you can avoid putting them where there is already some twine, or that works a little bit better just because it'll lay flatter. But if you have to put it over some twine, like I'm gonna have to right here, I think. Well, no, I might be able to do this right here. Yeah, it's gonna be over it a little bit. It's not a crisis. So pull it off. I thought this card would be really cute in pinks and yellows too. Okay, or red and black. Ooh, that'd be pretty. Okay, so now I'm going to put this on here. I wanted my hello to be at an angle like the stripes. I'm pulling this down because it just was a little bigger than what I wanted. There we go. That's better. And I'm going to stick this down right there. And then, last but not least, I have some of my brushed metallic adhesive back dots, and it looks like these are one of the things that's on sale with our September weekly sales for this upcoming week. So they are while supplies last, so if you want some, make sure you get in there and get them. Okay, so let's put a few of these babies on here. Whoops. It went rogue. Gotta show it who's boss. You know how it is. There. See, a nice masculine looking card which really, I mean, it could go to a woman as well. It doesn't have to go to a man, but you know, it's not all frilly and flowery, I guess is what I'm getting at. But you could do it in frilly, flowery colors if you so chose. And that's what I like about this. I think it's a nice, simple card. It looks great, and it would look great with any assortment of colors, I think. Thank you, Mary. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this one away, and we'll get going on card number 3. Our last card, we're using the birthday piggies again. Again, we've got the special going on where you can get the dies during the month of September that go with the stamp set. And I love that there's a little wagon and grass, and there's a bandana that you can put on the pig. Where is it? Oh, right there. There's presents, there's a bow. There's just all sorts of fun stuff you can do with this die set. Okay. I also used my seasonal labels dies on here, and I used my stylish labels dies for a circle. Thanks, Judy. Yes, that card was a great use for scraps, Judy. Good point. If you've got because you saw I didn't really use a bunch of big pieces. Okay, so this fun fold. Okay, get these little guys out of the way. Okay, so for this one, the designer series paper I'm using is the one that you can get as a hostess, or if you have placed an order of $150 or more of your own, no judgment, then you qualify to purchase this paper. But that's the only way to get it, to either host a party of your own with just you, or host a party where you gather a couple orders with friends, and you can get its huge pack. It's like 48 sheets of this really fun paper. And this is the card we're making. It's got this little flap here. Oh, this is funny. I was taking pictures of it and I wanted the flap to stay closed. So I used my my Post-it tape to hold it shut. Okay, so here's the card we're making. Let's go ahead and get started on that. Oh, and here's the inside. And, just to do something different, sometimes I like to stamp my sentiment along the bottom, just because it's different. Okay, so for the base of the card, I took a half of a sheet, 8.5 by 5.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4, but then I cut 1 1/4 inches off one end. So it's gonna look like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and fold it with the bone folder to get a nice crisp edge. Let's do our envelope. This is another one where I just decided to rely on my designer series paper for my envelope flap. So let's glue that down. A little bit of this glue goes a long way. It is bright and happy, isn't it, Kathy? I love it. I really love this paper. Excuse me. Okay, so lay the strip on there, line it up. Now let's cut off the extra. I've mentioned this before, but I will mention it again. If there is a particular product that you are interested in, you're not quite sure how to use it, or you just want to see it used, or maybe it's stamps that you want to see some examples with, or, maybe a fun fold you want to learn to do, let me know. And I would be happy to look into it and quite possibly do one of them in one of my lives so that you can see how to use that product or make that fold or, use that stamp set, whatever, just let me know. Okay, so now I have a piece of basic white, got a couple of strips of the designer series paper here. So let's go ahead and get started. This is the piece for the inside, and here's a strip this strip is 1 1/4 inches, I think. Let's see. Oh, it's 1.5 inches. And we're just going to go ahead and put it on here. It's 1.5 inches by, okay, so this piece here is 5 1/4 by 4. And then this is just 1/8 of an inch smaller. So it's 5 1/8 going this way, and then it's 1.5 inches. So let's go ahead and glue this guy down. Line it up. Sometimes it's a little hard when you're, because the white on the white makes it hard to see if you're straight or not, or if your margins match. Okay, and now let's go ahead and stick this to the inside of our card. I did this because I wanted there to still be enough white to write a message, but I wanted this to show through when the card is closed, so it wasn't just plain white. Now, one thing I should have done before I glued that down, but of course I did not, was stamp my sentiment. So I'm going to grab my sentiment, and I'm using, I'm using 2 actually, one on the front, one on the inside. So on the front it's going to say it's your birthday, and on the inside it's going to say, hope it's the best. And just line it up there. There we go. While I have this out, I'm going to need to use my trimmer or my embossing machine again, so I'm going to wait to stamp that message for the outside. Now I've got this piece here, coordinating designer series paper, but a different print. So let's go ahead and mount this onto the colors I'm using, by the way, are Pool Party and Crushed Curry. Not colors I necessarily would have thought to put together, but Stampin' Up! Already did the work for me by using these colors in the designer series paper. And I really like how it looks. Okay, so now line this up like so. Oh, and I just boogered something up already. Okay, so let's step back for a moment. We have this little flap, and this is 3.5 inches, and then I scored it, I don't know if you can see that, but 1/2 inch from the end. And what we're going to do is put down a little adhesive here on the inside, and I needed to actually, this can tear up my paper, but that's okay because it'll get covered back up. Just be careful when if you have to take it off, so that you only tear it where it's going to get covered back up. And I want it to be right around the middle. That looks like about the middle. Stick that. Now put this back, and no one ever needs to know that I didn't do it in the right order. So that's where our little flap is going to come from. It's under that white piece. Okay, let's go ahead now and mount this onto our card. Oops. Okay, and then I have these little pieces here. Now for the circles here, I have 2 of them, and I'm going to show you why. When we mount it onto our card front here, when you open it, you've got that, and if you don't care, it doesn't matter. It bugs me. So what I did is I put some adhesive here on my little circle, and I want this to be right around the center of my card, right? Now, I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side, where I'm lining it up. I didn't line it up super well. This would have been a good time to use the liquid adhesive actually, because it does allow you to wiggle it around a little bit to make sure that you've got them perfectly lined up. But this works as well. There we go. See? Okay. So now it just looks a little cleaner, my opinion, for what it's worth. Okay. Now, I'm going to set these aside, put them back in the little envelope here because I'll lose them. I just have a scrap of basic white, and we're going to use the black Memento ink again and stamp our little piggy and our little birthday sentiment, the one that says, it's your birthday. So we'll stamp it's your birthday right there. I don't know if that's going to be big enough. We'll see. Is that big enough? That should be big enough though. If I have to restamp it, stamp the birthday, I'm going to restamp that birthday one anyway because it kind of bled and I didn't like the way it looked. Okay. So there's our little piggy guy. See how it sort of bled and it's yucky there? So I'm just going to grab another piece of white and restamp that little bit. Have my scrap from earlier. Kind of did it again. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my dies. I'm using this one right here to create the label that's going to go around the sentiment. So let's get my trimmer out again. We can use the little one this time. See how it folds up nice and compact. The big one again does the same thing, it's just bigger. Okay, now line this up. If you have a hard time stamping on little pieces like this and getting them straight, then I recommend stamp it and then put your, then cut it out with the die. That way you can control if it's straight or not because you line up the die. There we go. So we'll cut this first one out. Again, I apologize for the wiggly table. There we go. And we'll set that right there on our other card. That way I can't lose it. And put my die away before I lose that. And then we're going to take the piggy dies to cut out our little pig guy. Oh, I haven't colored him yet. We need to color him first. So let's move all this stuff out of the way before we do that. I mean, you could cut it out and then color it, but okay, I used lots of different colors here. Okay, so first let's start with the pig. And for the pig, I used my petal pink. I've got the dark and the light. I start with the dark around the outer edges. Anywhere I want there to be a little bit of accent. I find that with really small pieces like the tail there, I use the darker one just because it's so small and uses so little ink that it shows up better. Okay, now I'm using the light one, and I'm going to use my brush tip first to kind of pull out some of this dark color. And you see I'm kind of flicking a little bit. I do want that to blend where I've got the darker and the lighter. But what the flicking does is it gives you a little bit lighter in the center. That creates a little bit, it makes your eye look at it and see round, like his little round belly. And then if we want, you know, it takes a while for the ink to soak in. So we'll come back, we may come back to this when we're done. If we need to add a little bit more dark here and there. Oh, I forgot, let's see here. I forgot one of his little arms and one of his little legs. And again, they're tiny, so I used the dark. Now I'm going to use my light black, dark smoky slate is what I used here to just do his little hooves. And I'm using dark crumb cake here to do the dirt. And get my light crumb cake. Okay. Again, just kind of flicking. Now, this doesn't tend to pull the color out, so it blends really well, which I do want it to blend a little better here. So I need to go over it just a little bit harder to try to get that blend of the color. And see how the light, when I go over it, it's pulling that dark out a little bit. There, like that. Then let's do our cake. I've got dark daffodil, or I'm sorry, this is dark so saffron. And I'm going to do the flame on the candle. And I'm doing the plate with the dark so saffron. And then I'm taking my dark pool party and my light pool party to do the balloon and part of the cake. So here's my dark. What color did I make that? I didn't color the candle. That's all right. Oh, and there's one other thing I forgot to stamp. I have this little cute little butterfly, and there's a die for it. So we must, of course, use it. So we'll put it right, put it on my other piece. Where did that go? There we go. And I'm going to color that in with the So Saffron as well. Okay, and then I took my light Bermuda Bay to do the inside, the middle layer of the cake. Okay, now I'm taking my light pool party because we used the dark pool party on the outer edge of the balloon. And I'm kind of flicking again. But I do want this to blend, so I'm kind of going over that a little bit more. There. There we go. Now let's cut these pieces out. Put all my pens away. Put all my toys away, including that black ink pad, since I'm wearing a white shirt. Okay, try this again. Got our little tiny butterfly. Okay, and we'll line it up here. This one's a little harder to line up just because it's so tiny. Okay, let's feed it through. Wiggly table. If you have one of the smaller trimmers or the smaller embossing machines and you're having a hard time getting it to feed through, try standing up. I don't know why that is, but I found it's kind of hard to do it sitting down. I think it has to do with the angle. Okay, there's my butterfly, but it's kind of wonky. Let's try to make another one really quick. Okay, get the ink again. I promise we're not going to spend all night making butterflies. Where'd the stamp go? There we go. Fortunately, there's only one color here, so it won't take too terribly long. Let's try this again. Got our itty bitty little die here. Actually, I should lay everything down first. Okay, now I've got my little piece of adhesive, or the tape. It's kind of hard. Like I said, it's so tiny. Okay, let's hope that's on there right. If not, we're going to go with it because I'm not going to make you watch me cut butterflies all night long. Okay, feed it through. Anybody else holding their breath? See how it turns out. Oh, this one was much better. Okay. Put that back on the thing before I lose it. Okay, where are we going to put this so I don't lose it? I'm going to put it on my black stand here. There we go. Okay, now we'll do our little piggy. The die is right here. Let me get my Post-it tape. Same Post-it tape that I used last week and earlier tonight. And now we just need to put our card front together and we're done. Come on, little piggy. Look at that little guy. Okay, put the dies away. Okay, so now we have our card here. Let's go ahead and put our piggy on here. Using my liquid adhesive just because it's easier to get the small spaces. Hey Karen, thanks for joining us. Karen is my cousin. Okay. And I'm gonna line this one up. This is a good one for your dad, Karen. There we go, whoops, crooked piggy. And then we have our itty bitty little butterfly. And for this, I took one of our, whoops, come back here, butterfly. He was trying to fly away with me. Our little mini dimensionals, if I can figure out where they are. There they are. With the mini dimensionals, I find that it's easier if I use my Take Your Pick tool. If you could only buy one tool for stamping, this is the one I'd get because it has so many uses. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool to lay it down. Because it's so tiny, my little fat fingers would get in the way and I wouldn't be able to see exactly where I was laying it. With my Take Your Pick tool, I can line it up the way I want it. Isn't that cute? Now we'll put our sentiment on, and then we're good to go. So we have our little sentiment that we cut out. And I have these 2 little pieces of Pool Party and crushed curry. And I'm just lining it up here. I'm trying to see if I used, did I use adhesive, foam adhesive here? Oh, I see what I did. I see what I did. Okay, so this piece, I'm just gonna stick right down onto the card just like that. So, kind of in the middle there. Now for the sentiment, because it's on top of these 2 layers of cardstock, it doesn't go down right on the base of my card. So I'm going to take 2 mini glue dots, or I'm sorry, mini dimensionals, and I'm going to put them on the back of this, but just on the ends there. Hey Kathy, if I haven't said hello to you, I think I just noticed that you joined. Try to line this up so that it's centered over that little square. It's not going straight, and that's going to bother me. There we go. And there's our card with our matching envelope. So let's go ahead and clean up the mess here. We'll kind of recap what we made tonight. If you enjoyed what we did together, I would love it if you would give me thumbs up, likes, share the video. If you're watching on YouTube, you can subscribe to my channel. And when you do that, there's a little bell icon. If you click on that bell, then you will be notified when I upload new videos, which I do all the time. So definitely something to do there. And I love it when you guys give me the hearts and the likes and all that good stuff. So thank you, Colleen. She says all 3 cards are great. I love it when you guys love the cards. Okay, so let's take a look at what we made. We have our little piggy, our little birthday piggy, unfold. Right there. We have our hello kind of masculine card that we talked about. You can do in any colors. It doesn't have to be a masculine card, but it is nice when you can come up with those because they're, so much of our stamping product seems to be feminine. So it's nice to be able to come up with something. And then we have this one that we made, this fun fold that we did with the purple, and we also have the one in the pink. So depending on what you like best. All right, Nell loves them all. Susan says they're also different, and I try to make them different. I don't want to do the same card all night long for you guys. That wouldn't be fun for you. So anyway, there we go. If you would like to take advantage of the specials that I told you we have going on, like those September specials, or the perfect partners where you can buy the dies that go with stamp sets that we already have out, you could do so at my website, heathersides.stampinup.net. I would love to earn your business. If you place an order under $150, if you would please use this host code, that would help me a lot. That's what helps me to be able to continue to provide these videos for free. And to get the prizes that I give away. If your order is over $150 though, please do not use the host code because you will have earned some free products from Stampin' Up! And I wanna make sure that you are the one who gets them. And of course, anytime you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, you are welcome to email me stamphappenings@gmail.com. Colleen says, I come up with unique ideas every week. Oh, thank you, Colleen. And Susan can't decide between the pink and the purple. To tell you the truth, I'm partial to the pink because I'm a pink girl. I love pink, but I do really like both of the cards. So anyway, I hope you guys had a good time tonight. As always, this is my favorite time of the whole week. I love sharing it with you guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys at 6 p.m. Pacific time next Wednesday, right here on facebook.com/stamphappenings. See you guys later. Bye-bye.